Hey folks, I'm AG Squared here to share a framework that I use to help me when I feel overwhelmed when facing a large wave of problems. If you subscribe to my channel, you know I typically talk about DIY, do-it-yourself repairs or projects, topics on real estate, finance, or technology. But this specific topic can apply across all of those things and in everyday life situations. Because of that reason, I felt passionate enough to share this with you. So no matter your age or what industry you work in, this framework will be incredibly helpful for you. We've all felt it, right? Facing multiple problems, challenges, or issues all at once is overwhelming, leading to feeling anxious or even causing you to freeze up in the moment instead of taking action. But having a structured approach can help you manage and overcome these feelings effectively. I'll start by sharing a framework to guide you through this process, but just sharing the framework won't be as impactful. So we don't stop there. I'll follow that up by sharing how I applied it in real time and how it helped me overcome many issues that all of a sudden I had to face in my real estate business. Let's dig into the framework. It's made up of 6 parts. First part, assess the situation. Write down all of the problems you're facing. This helps in 2 ways. The first is it helps visualize the scope and magnitude of the issue. And second, by offloading your cognitive load by keeping track of all these issues from your head down into a written medium. Once written down, optionally try to group similar issues together. This can help in identifying common solutions or strategies. Part 2, prioritization. There are a couple ways to help you prioritize all your issues and problems. The first one I'll mention is the Eisenhower matrix, which really breaks down prioritization into measuring the urgency and the importance of each issue. Let's break down the 4 different quadrants of that. The first one is urgent and important. You should strive to address these immediately. The other quadrant is urgent but not important. The best thing to do with these type of issues is to delegate them if possible, because your time may be better spent elsewhere, but it's urgent, so it does need to get done. The third quadrant is important but not urgent. For these, go ahead and try to schedule these out in advance so that you can have some time allocated to work these, but they don't require your immediate time and attention. And the last quadrant is neither urgent nor important. So go ahead and consider eliminating these or really putting them down at the very bottom of your attention. The other way of performing prioritization decisions is the one I prefer to use most of the time. And this is by classifying for each issue an impact and a level of effort or feasibility. Let's go through the 4 quadrants in this one. The first one is high impact and high feasibility. You should strive to address these immediately. The other quadrant is high impact and low feasibility. Try to break these down so you can act immediately on the high impact aspects that are lower effort. This way you can make incremental progress on that issue. The third quadrant is low impact and low level of feasibility. Don't do these until there are no higher impact items or if over time the impact for the issue changes too high. And the last quadrant, low impact and high feasibility. If time permits, consider acting on these because these are what we call low-hanging fruit, or better yet, consider delegating these so that they can just simply get done. Now, which one you choose is up to you. Go ahead and try whichever one feels more natural for you and practice it. The third part of the framework, I kind of hinted at this already, it's breaking down tasks. If you are finding that there are too many unknowns or lack of clarity to classify a particular issue's impact or level of feasibility, I'll offer 2 tips to help with this. Like I mentioned, the first one is dividing that issue into smaller manageable tasks. This makes progress more tangible and less daunting. And the second one is to gather more information to inform you on that particular problem or issue. Conducting a research task can go a long way, because this will likely be a high impact, very feasible, low effort task and can be prioritized very highly so that you can use the learnings to then classify the overarching issue and be better prepared to act on it. The fourth part of the framework, create or update a plan. This is going to be broken up into a couple things. First is a timeline. A good plan includes developing a timeline for when you will address each task once it's prioritized, but be realistic about what you can achieve in a given time frame. Even if you've got a bunch of high impact, urgent things you got to take care of, you might not be able to do all of them in the same day, which brings the second aspect of a plan: identifying any resources or support that you might need, whether that is tools, information, or help from others. Be sure to capture this information in whatever tool you use, whether that is a mobile or cloud application or right there on paper. The fifth part of the framework: taking action. Leverage your prioritized outcome from the previous parts of the framework to make progress, one issue at a time. Incremental progress will make you feel good, and it's also gonna just be more effective than feeling like you have to solve all the issues, all of the world's problems. No, prioritize, stick to that prioritization list. The other aspect important in taking action is to remain flexible. Be prepared to adjust your plan as new information or challenges arise. This prioritization effort and this framework and all of its parts are meant to be a continuous framework. It's not like you do it once and then you're done. Always revisit this framework as time progresses. The last part, part 6, monitor and reflect. It's important to regularly check off completed tasks and review your progress. And it's also very important to take time to reflect on what's working and what isn't. Adjust your approach as needed during these acts of reflection. This mindset and this approach fuses problem solving with continuous learning, an invaluable couple set of skills for you. Although not part of the 6-part framework, let's not forget the importance of self-care. Ensure that you're taking the time to care for your physical and mental health by taking that time to rest and recharge. Even if you've got a huge backlog of things, if you start feeling burnt out, go ahead and don't hesitate to reach out to friends, family, or professionals for support. If you're not well, the quality of the work as you're acting on these issues will also suffer. By following this framework, you can systematically address each issue and reduce the overall stress when facing multiple problems at once. How does this approach sound to you? Do you have other frameworks you found effective? Let me know in the chat below. Now comes the fun part: putting this framework into action. I'm going to go through this as much in real time as I did back when I was in the moment. For context, I own 7 properties, which I self-manage, and in a couple weeks will finalize the purchase of my 8th property. This is what I'm going to focus the exercise on. Let's start by capturing all my issues. Note, not all of these were known right away. Some surfaced within a matter of hours of becoming aware of one, while others, like the ceiling water leak, was something that surfaced in the past, then resurfaced shortly afterwards. Next up, it may help to categorize them. How you do this will depend on your scenario. For me, I'm going to categorize them based on the type of issue. Blue will be for plumbing, green will be for generic repairs, and yellow will be for things that are operational property management items. Moving on to prioritization. Let's look at this chart to help us go through this exercise. On the left axis, we have impact, being depicted from bottom to top, low impact to high impact items. On the bottom axis, we have feasibility. Moving from left to right, mapping low feasibility, high complexity to high feasibility, low complexity. Let's zoom back out. These 2 classifications will help highlight the following 4 different priority quadrants per item. Start with best bets, followed by either the moonshots or the low-hanging fruit items, leaving the low priority items to a time when the other items have been completed or are paused or blocked. For my issues, let's start with the leaking dishwasher issue. Starting with impact. Since this is actively impacting my renters, it'll be above the medium line. But since it's not an active leak, I won't assign it the high impact. On to feasibility. Note, in my career of real estate, I've gained tons of experience on how to troubleshoot and fix a dishwasher by myself. Given this knowledge, I am pretty comfortable in placing this in the bottom left portion of the best bet quadrant. If interested, check out the video shown above on how you can learn how to troubleshoot and resolve this DIY do-it-yourself friendly issue, saving potentially hundreds of dollars. Let's go to the other plumbing item, the water leak in the ceiling. Now, this one was one of those that I thought was resolved a week ago, as I share in the video shown above, but unfortunately, it surfaced all of a sudden again. But how can I classify the feasibility if I don't know what the issue is? Well, I can't, and that's okay. So I'll apply the issue breakdown approach and create a smaller issue to first diagnose the leak with a plumber. This smaller task is now easy to classify. It is incredibly high impact because the leak may resurface at any moment. And it's very feasible because all it requires is for me to coordinate a time with a plumber to come on out. So let's pause for a second. Note that in this exercise, I'm doing this prioritization after I listed all the issues I ran into spanning 2 weeks. But in the moment, I acted on this leak triage item while also in real time prioritizing and working on new issues, such as the garage door that isn't closing once it opens issue. So although I don't show it here, I have a different application that I use to track my to-do list so I know the status of each issue and also track any appointments, such as when the plumber will come out or when a product from Home Depot is scheduled to be delivered. For the garage opener issue, I consider this being less impactful to my renters than the plumbing ones. And since the feasibility might be as simple as cleaning the safety sensors, but it may also be as severe as needing to replace the motor itself, I'll place it in the top right corner of the low priority quadrant for now. Notice how I'm starting to normalize determining impact and feasibility. What this means is that I don't treat each issue in isolation. Instead, I rank them alongside each other, comparing them with all the other active issues. Okay, next up, the laundry room is getting hot when the dryer is on. Fortunately, when this issue surfaced, I was already at that property. In this case, fixing that leaking dishwasher, for a matter of fact. So in real time, I was able to diagnose this issue and determine that I needed to delegate this repair out to a contractor. The video shown above walks through this diagnosis and repair, so if you have a hot laundry room whenever that dryer is running, go ahead and check it out. But in the moment, I determined that this was medium feasibility and high impact because my renters couldn't do their laundry until it was fixed. Now, in real time, at this point, I realized that the garage door issue would require a new motor and ended up coordinating with someone to install it. So I'll move this as a more feasible issue compared to the laundry room issue, just because I've gone ahead and hired someone to do it. I'm more so doing this as an example on how this framework encourages updating impact and feasibility as time progresses with each issue. All right, next issue, losing access to all my Gas South accounts. Holy sh*. This, I'll quickly compare it to the other issues and put it as a high impact and high feasibility item, just below the ceiling leak, of course. This is because without access to these accounts, I wouldn't be able to charge my renters for their natural gas usage. But it's very feasible because it just required a phone call with a Gas South support team member. Lastly, the issue of needing to set up all utilities at the new property I'm purchasing in the coming weeks. Compared to all the other items, this is the least impactful since it doesn't need to be done for another week and isn't affecting anyone. However, the feasibility is very high because it just requires submitting a form to each utility provider in order to schedule starting service, therefore making it a perfect low-hanging fruit or an easy win for me to complete and feel good about. The last part of the framework, let's reflect on each issue. Specifically, I'll share what I learned so that you can benefit from my experience. The water ceiling leak. What we learned here was the importance of not patching the ceiling until you wait ample time to ensure that the leak was permanently solved. Now that this has been fixed yet again, I'll wait another couple weeks this time. If there's no indication of the leak coming back, I'll coordinate with a handyman to patch the hole in the ceiling. Over to the leaking dishwasher. Upon reflection, I learned that regardless if you're a homeowner or a handyman, it is a great idea to have a spare dishwasher water pump handy. These are just $20 or so, and it'll save you potentially hundreds in the inevitable moment when that water pump breaks on you. All you need is your dishwasher make and model found in the inside of the door to purchase one. For losing access to all my Gas South accounts, the key learning here is to think twice before waiting for a support ticket update, regardless of your issue. In this issue, my original call resulted in a person creating a support ticket on my behalf. Well, after a couple days, I called again because I hadn't heard back from them and realized based on what this person is now saying that the issue required real-time discussions to fix correctly and in a timely manner. Sure, it took around 45 minutes to an hour on the call, but we recovered all my 6 accounts. Much better than waiting days and potentially going back and forth playing email pong with support. All right, the next issue, setting up the new property with utilities. No key takeaway on this one besides it's best to be proactive on doing so. Again, whether you're an investor or whether you're a home buyer, go ahead and be proactive in doing this. All right, next up, laundry room getting hot when the dryer is running. What I learned on this one is the importance of making sure that a home that you are touring or considering putting an offer on has a dryer vent before putting that offer on that house. Check out my other video above where I share more tips that will save you hundreds of dollars and essential time before putting an offer on a home. Next up, garage door not closing once open. The learning here, like I mentioned in my above video, is simple. Don't buy a Ginny garage opener, period. Instead, buy a quality brand such as Chamberlain or LiftMaster. There you have it. If you haven't tried this framework before, I encourage committing to trying and practicing it. Over time, you'll become so good at this. It will become natural for you and reduce anxiety when the next wave of endless issues and challenges come up. I've been using this framework for as long as I can remember now. What you saw me do now, I did it all in my head in real time and leveraged my to-do list mobile application so I can track the various tasks per item and monitor my progress across all issues. As always, thank you for watching. If you found this content informative, please like and share it with others. Take a look at my YouTube channel for more content on DIY, do-it-yourself projects and repairs, and topics on real estate, finance, and technology. Till next time.